The theme is identities and the topic is language and identities.
The first question is, may you restate the main idea of the picture in your own words?
Sure, yes. I think the main idea of the picture is to show that diversity and individual. Each of the 9 people in the image have like unique features like skin tones, hairstyles, jewelry, and facial expression, and all of them represent like different cultures. The symmetry of the squares gives like equal important, like saying we are all different, but we are all part of something bigger or part of a community. There's no background, so the image forces us to focus only on the people. And that's powerful because it pushes us to think about what makes someone who they are. It's not just the language they speak or the clothes they wear, it's like a combination of the culture, family, history, and personal experiences.
Second question. To what extent does the topic of identities relate to your own culture?
In Mexico, identity is complex. It's made of many layers. Our indigenous roots, Spanish influence, religion, family traditions, and of course language. Often talk about being Mexican, but what they actually means can change depending on where you are from. Oaxaca to Monterrey to Puebla, they made different like things. So one thing that stands out in my culture is how indigenous identities are often ignored or even looked down upon. I remember how is an experience that I happened. My baby sister who spoke Nahuatl faced discrimination just because of her accent. So that left a mark on me, and it made me realize how identity is sometimes seen as a threat instead of something to celebrate. So yes, the topic of identities is deeply relevant to my community. We talk a lot about being proud of Mexico, but we still have a long way to go in embracing the full range of identities that exist within our country.
Third question.
Yes, tell me.
What are some examples of language and identity in your community?
How I say one clear example that I experienced that I mentioned is about my baby sister. She came from a small village in the Sierra of Puebla and spoke Nahuatl. Even though she was intelligent and I remember worked very hard to get into the BWAP, she was rejected not because of her grades but because of her language. That showed me how language can define how society sees you and how you see yourself. Another example is how schools in some part of Mexico are now trying to like bring back indigenous language. In Oaxaca, for example, there are many programs that teach in both the Spanish and Zapotec or Mixtec. This is a way like to reconnect with our cultural roots, and they also give students a strong sense of identity. And in daily life, we also see how like Spanglish also plays a role for people who live near in the U.S. border, because they mix English and Spanish. And while some cities it for many people, for many young people, it's part of who they are, and it reflects like the big cultural identity that is in the North countries.
Fourth question.
Yes.
To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? To have a second language is to have a second soul.
Okay. Sorry. I totally agree with this quote by Charles Minch. Speaking a second language isn't just about words, it's about perspective. When you speak another language, you start to think different. You learn new ways of expressing emotions, humor, politeness, and also silence. So, for example, when I speak Spanish, I feel more connected to my roots, to my family, to my daily life. But when I speak English, I often think in a more structured, logical way because that's how the language works. It's like switching mindsets.